Hello, I'm Kelly Ryan, and I'd like to welcome you to this month's edition of Are You In? There are several stories today that focus on the kind of work that we're doing right now in the community, which is very much focused on resident engagement. What we have seen and know from national research is that communities that have high levels of civic engagement or resident participation have much better economic indicators and economic growth. A project that's very visible and very central to that strategy is the Daily Tribune building, of course, located in our downtown on the riverfront. An important announcement that we made recently that we're very excited about is we have been selected, and by we I mean all of us and all of you that have participated in the Tribune building process. Incourage submitted an application to a national initiative called Art Place, and what they look to fund is projects, initiatives, and leadership opportunities in communities across the U.S. that focus on how arts and culture help define place, help define where we live, help contribute to economic growth, help to foster new thinking. There were over 1,200 applicants in this first round. So out of 1,200, the Tribune building was selected as a finalist to submit a full proposal. There were 97 finalists. Only 25% of the finalists are rural. And the other important factor is we are the only finalist in the state of Wisconsin. So stay tuned for what we hope is good news and a good announcement. And that would result in just over $500,000 actually in the Tribune building to support the arts. Another recent and important announcement related to the Tribune building that we're very excited to share is the first private donation to support the building project, and it came from a former resident. Diana Williams, who's the daughter of Dorothy Duckert Chambers, was a wonderful woman to work with, always interested in knowing what was going on in the community and how residents were engaging in this community. And we're so pleased that her daughter Diana is the second generation advisor now that Dorothy has passed away. And Diana was very pleased to recommend a $100,000 gift from their family fund to support the Tribune project building because she really felt strongly that it embodied the things that were important to her mother and her family growing up and living in the Wisconsin Rapids area. We're really happy and pleased that she chose to support the development of this project. So I just want to say thank you to all of you for tuning in on a regular basis, some of you I know, so thank you very much. And invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy this month's edition of Are You In?
Welcome to
Are You In? A show by your Incourage Community Foundation.
It recognizes and celebrates the many good things happening in our community.
And it highlights the courageous work being done by our friends and our neighbors.
We've got a lot happening on today's show.
We'll learn about a what-if grant that's bringing the community together to save lives.
And there's always a lot going on at Incourage. Find out what's happening this month.
Today we're here on location at the site of a local event.
It's part of a monthly segment we call
Where Are We in Southwood County? We're not giving away where we are.
We'll give you a few hints, but you'll have to guess and stay tuned.
Hint number 1. This event takes place on water.
That could be a lot of places. Okay, so you need another hint. Hint number 2. This event typically runs for 5 weeks.
Boy, the last time I ran for 5 weeks, I was really tired.
Ba-dum-bump.
Final hint, it's in the city whose name means swift water in the native language of the Ho-Chunk Nation.
We'll reveal where we are later, so stay tuned.
Don't touch that dial.
This year we introduced a new funding opportunity, the What If Grant.
What Ifs are for resident-led projects that bring together people and move a good idea to action.
This month we highlight Stacy's Wish, a project that honors Stacy Lundquist, who died from leukemia in December.
Stacy's sister, Stephanie Engelin, used a What If to help fund a bone marrow donor drive to get more people on the National Donor Registry.
This drive is bringing our community together for a great cause that will reach far beyond our area.
And here's Stephanie to tell us more.
Last year, my sister was diagnosed with leukemia just after her 40th birthday, and she needed a bone marrow transplant in order to be cured, and there was no match for her. Without a match, she was not able to have the treatment she needed, and she died in December of last year, just about 4 months after her diagnosis.
Stephanie Engelin is honoring her sister, Stacy Lundquist, by organizing Stacy's Wish, a bone marrow drive to increase the number of donors on the National Registry. Stephanie is bringing community members together to create something positive from great sadness.
The hardest part about her illness and her death is it's senseless and it's tragic. She was such a vibrant, larger-than-life person, and to have her dwindle and lose that life because of something that could have happened if we just had the right person on this registry. We've been working with the Be the Match Foundation to organize a bone marrow donor drive in the Wisconsin Rapids area. At those drives, you will receive education on what it is to be a donor, the commitment involved. There is a kit that you would be assisted to do. There are 4 swabs. They look like large Q-tips, and you swab 4 different areas inside your cheek, and they get the cells from the inside of your cheek, and that kit is sent to the lab at the Be the Match. This project has a little bit of everything. It's something personal for me. It means a lot to me and my family that people are coming out to support this. It gives the community a chance to do something because, again, they remember her also, and it's a great cause, and they may be helping somebody across the country.
Stephanie took a good idea and made it a reality through the help of several organizations and volunteers.
I basically contacted a bunch of people and asked them, said, hey, this is my idea, this is what I'd like to do, I'd like to have this drive, would you be willing to help me out with it? I've gotten just an unbelievable amount of support from my church family, from the people at Riverview, the Riverview Foundation, Incourage with this grant, the Mid-State, the Student Nurses Association. So we've gotten not only financial support, but places that we can do things, people volunteering, involving a lot of the community to just make this something that it just becomes important to everybody.
And most importantly, Stephanie is honoring Stacy's legacy of love.
Stacy was a big volunteer in her community, and she was very into this type of project. She would love that we're doing this.
In this 20th year for your community foundation, we're very pleased to highlight moments and actually some of the work of the foundation over the 20 years. And this month, I'd like to talk briefly about supporting other organizations, other nonprofit organizations in our community. And oftentimes the Community Foundation will play a role in terms of incubating or helping start up an organization that meets an identified need in the community. One of the more recent examples I can think of is Neighborhood Table. Very much resident-led, housed in the St. John's Episcopal Church and driven by volunteers, and oftentimes they need some organizational infrastructure that can help them while they work to deliver the mission. And that's what we did early on for Neighborhood Table. We helped them then achieve their own 501c3 and independent status. So oftentimes the Community Foundation is incubating an organization, and we do that by accepting contributions on their behalf, passing those contributions through. Sometimes we grant resources to them to buy a new stove or whatever it might be, and that's one of the more recent examples. But today I'm happy to just highlight the first one that we ever did. And this organization is celebrating their 20th anniversary this year as well, and that is our Boys and Girls Club. So we say congratulations to them for 20 years, and gives us the opportunity to talk about another role that the Community Foundation plays. And in this case, we funded the first 3 years of operational expenses for the Boys and Girls Club here. And it was with the support of the Richard S. Brazo Family Foundation. They recognized the need for a Boys and Girls Club to support youth and children in this community, and they funded the first 3 years of operating expenses for the Boys and Girls Club. But recognizing that the Boys and Girls Club was really in startup mode, they needed to find an office space, they needed to find staff, they needed to create their own budget, they incubated and put that money in the Community Foundation. So we were very, very pleased to have the first organization that we ever supported and incubated in that fashion be the Boys and Girls Club. And so in our 20th year, we'd like to say congratulations to them, and also call attention to another role and impact that your Community Foundation has had here in Greater Southwood County.
In February, the Knight Foundation announced that it will continue investing in local information efforts being led by Incourage Community Foundation.
Woohoo! Good for us!
Our work with Knight has helped us learn how information flows in our community.
And the key role information has in a community that's working to make positive changes.
Here's Liz Everson to tell us more. Okay, in the studio today we have Liz Everson from Incourage Community Foundation here to talk with us about the relationship between Incourage and the Knight Foundation. Welcome to the show, Liz.
Welcome.
Our watchers, our fans will recognize you from previous interviews talking about vital signs and other area Knight work. But can you give us some background about Incourage's relationship, where it started with the Knight Foundation?
Sure. So, well, first off, thank you for having me on the show. So our relationship with the Knight Foundation actually began in 2008, and they posed a question out to community foundations across the nation to start thinking about how information plays a role in community engagement. And so it really began there. So we started thinking about ways that we could play a role, in Wisconsin Rapids and Rudolph and all the southern Wood County areas, and support them with these information efforts.
So I'm going to put my wonky hat on.
Yes.
And I'm going to ask you, what is an information ecosystem?
Oh, no. We're not supposed to use those words, I'll just say, because no one knows what they mean. But basically, when you think about what has happened with the newspaper industry, everyone knows that industry has been hit hard. Where are families getting their information? Are they going to their school districts? Are they going to the libraries? If they're no longer getting a newspaper, although I hope everyone is reading our local newspaper, where are they getting that information? And then you add into that how the digital world and how the internet, how that has affected so many families, whether they have access or not, or skills to access that information. So that ecosystem that you asked about is really getting at, does your community have a good, strong foundation in information? Do residents know where to get answers to their most relevant questions? So whether that's school-related, government-related, or such. So hopefully that answers your question.
It does, but I'm going to follow that up with what is the link between Piggly Wiggly and our information ecosystem?
So back in 2008, one of the first things that our foundation, what we did as an organization, was we went out to each of the communities and asked local residents, where do you get your information, and where are your, what we like to call, information hotspots? And in Nakusa, one of the top information sources was the Piggly Wiggly. So the Piggly Wiggly inserts information into grocery bags, and a lot of local residents and organizations use that to get information out to their neighbors. So that was one of the information hotspots, and so that would be one component of an info ecosystem for the Nakusa area.
So not just shop the pig, but listen to the pig.
Listen to the pig. That could be a tagline.
Wow, great question, Rick. So I have more questions. That is, talk about some of our work. Can you give us some examples of what Knight Foundation has supported since 2008 in our relationship?
Well, that's easy. So their work has really helped us do so much of what we do today. So probably the most current project that everyone is aware of is the Tribune building and the engagement efforts around that. That would have never happened had not we had the relationship with the Knight Foundation. Other areas that projects that people might be familiar with would be vital signs. And that's a report that's has been published every year for the last 3 years that measures the economic vitality of the Southwood County area. So for the first time you can learn what the population trends are in Rudolph and look at unemployment, look at community engagement and those numbers, and actually kind of get a sense for the vitality of each of the municipalities in Southwood. Do either of you get NIXL alerts?
Yes, I love NIXL.
Yes, I do too.
Well, that has been done in part because of the work that we've done with Knight, and that has just exploded. I mean, I think they're up to 6,000 or 9,000 people are now signed up and are getting safety alerts free, which is pretty amazing. So.
And for those that aren't familiar with NIXL, anybody can sign up for NIXL. I think that either has internet access or a smartphone.
Smartphone, yeah.
And it's really interesting from the time that I signed up with NIXL to see an alert for like a missing child, and then to see the alert go out, and then how long after that, okay, because of that network, child has been found and stuff. I think that's, to me, as a parent, that's really a good tool to see it used.
And there's not, I'm surprised at the number of communities who don't have systems like that. But when you think about how powerful a tool like that can be for a community, because it is doing just that, it's connecting all these networks of people, and they're able to, connect with each other and actually send information to Wood County Dispatch or the police department then if they actually have information on like a missing person.
Yeah, it's a great program. So now, recently you were down in Miami for a conference, a media learning seminar that Knight does every year. And I know Incourage was featured there. Can you talk a little bit about that and some of your takeaways from that conference?
So the Knight Foundation has decided to basically look at the number of community foundations that they've had relationships with over the last 4 to 5 years, and decided to really take a deep dive with 4 different communities. And so we were selected nationally as one of the 4.
And who are the other 3?
So the other 3 is the Dodge Foundation. We also have the Silicon Community Foundation and also the Chicago Community Trust. So Central Wisconsin with Silicon Valley and Chicago is quite amazing. But really, I mean, when you think about the work that we've done here, so much of it has been centered around community engagement, and that means it's the residents. It's the residents who really won this award because they're the ones who told us about the Piggly Wiggly. They're the ones who said, yes, we want NIXL. So really, this isn't just an award for Incourage. This is an award for the community. So.
And so what are the types of things that you're looking forward to over this next engagement period? What will that help us? Where do we go from here?
Sure. So this relationship is really going to help us. They're going to connect us actually to a group of national thought leaders. And that's going to help us do the kind of work that we're already doing, but doing it better. So when you think about the engagement efforts and all of the work that's been done around the Tribune process, really looking at that and getting a good feel for how do we do that elsewhere in the community and what role does information play in that work. So that's the area that I'm most excited about, is the learning that's going to happen and how we're going to be able to be part of even more work in doing that kind of co-creation with residents.
For those that didn't participate in the Tribune Building project, the first meeting dealt with looking at community asset maps, in terms of what do we have in the community, where do we have it, and then getting engagement to say, is there more, is this wrong, is this different? And it was really a powerful tool, information tool, but also engagement tool to see that discussion and how the maps were corrected and adjusted.
Yeah, because I mean, I was at one of the tables actually at one of those meetings, and it was really fascinating to hear, from the other 12-some people at our table about what what they saw as assets in the community. And like for me personally, like I think of House School and their amazing sledding hill. You talk to any of the young families in our neighborhood, that's considered one of the best assets in our neighborhood. So to be able to actually map that and get that information all down in one spot is pretty amazing. So yeah, those meetings are a really great example of that.
So the Knight Foundation support, what does that mean for our community? How is it going to help strengthen our community?
Well, back to what I said earlier about really connecting us to some national thought leaders. Knight has done some really amazing work with using technology in really innovative ways to help people co-create something. They might be helping us with our grant process locally. So the relationship with Knight is going to help us do what we do better, and is going to help us connect with residents even better. So that's essentially what it's going to get to.
Well, we really appreciate you coming in today and sharing your information about the Knight Foundation project, and we're looking forward to a couple great years of more work with Knight. So
yeah, and I think what's really exciting is to see the progress where we've come to over the last period, and to look to the future, Android or no Android, where we'll be in a couple years. It's really fascinating. We thank you for your work, and we thank you for joining us today on the show.
Thank you for having me.
In February, we wrapped up Phase 1 of our Tribune Building project.
after our fourth meeting, several participants stopped by to share their takeaways from the first phase.
Let's hear what they had to say.
Well, they asked people to get involved in projects like this. It's very important to me. First meeting was ideas, and then break it down from there. And then the fourth meeting, which was tonight, we broke it down into smaller parts and figured out what we actually want to do with the building. Get the community involved, help out the community. That's what this is all about.
Been to the meetings hosting the Google Hangout. It's kind of like a Skype type application. You could have people from all over. We had Milwaukee, the first meeting, and then the most recent meeting we had Madison, La Crosse, and I heard even Kansas City. One of the people involved, they're all from Wisconsin Rapids area, all young adults studying, so it's cool to get that type of input. From seeing everyone else at the meeting and having the virtual table, there's a lot of excitement. A lot of people that really do care about the community, even people that have just recently left, you know, the typical ones, oh, I got to get out of Rapids. No, they still care about Rapids, and there's a lot of involvement ready to happen. People are getting involved, and I feel more are going to hop on board.
So I'm an LHS grad of '02, and it's exciting to be back. Kent Anderson was one of the actually hosts tonight. We graduated together, so it's neat to get back to the area and just kind of see the excitement building for what's going to take place in the future for the Tribune building. I think, at least from our perspective, our age group, it's neat to represent, you know, and try to bring some ideas of, you know, what can generate some activities for young professionals in the area. So it's a neat to be part of tonight. It was my first meeting tonight. I like that there were many different generations represented. At our table, we also had a current LHS student, and then we see folks that have been in the community for a really long time. Gus Mancuso, Dr. O'Leary. I know both their sons really well, so it's neat to see just these kind of generations being represented and everybody working together for one common cause, and that's to really just improve the downtown area and get people excited about living in Wisconsin Rapids.
There's always a long list of things happening at the Community Foundation, but here are highlights for this month at Incourage.
Well, the people have spoken about the Tribune building. Top recommendations by community members included recreational rentals, woohoo, a microbrewery, and at least one type of food service.
And there's room for more. Find out what else made the list of must-haves by going to the Tribune Building website or contacting Incourage for a report.
And there's more to come. Meetings for Phase 2, the design phase, begin this spring.
Each month we'll update you on the Tribune Building project.
Have an old, slightly used bike sitting around taking up space? A local project needs your bikes.
That's right. The River Riders Bike Share Project is collecting bikes at the Tribune Building on Saturday, March 22nd from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Hopefully there won't be any snow left. A bike share program offers bikes for shared public use on a short-term basis for a low membership fee.
This is a new community program that allows visitors and residents alike to enjoy our trails and get around our area quickly and cheaply.
I like quick and cheap. Every month we're working on many projects, but that's what's happening this month at Incourage. Well, okay, we're back, and it's time to find out, where are we in Southwood County?
Rick, did you know that Nakusa Walleye Days is the largest free fishing tournament in Wisconsin?
Free? I love free. It's right in my price range. Are you telling fish tales again, Carol?
No, really. I'm hooked on Walleye Days.
Ah!
And you just got schooled on fish puns.
Oh, you're just giving me a line, aren't you? But here's Jay Stone to tell us more about Nakusa Walleye Days.
Nakusa Walleye Days is held annually on the Petenwell flowage, Nakusa Dam down to the Petenwell Dam in Nakusa, Wisconsin. The Nakusa Walleye Days, I believe, was inception of 1980 with a group of businessmen, women in Nakusa, Wisconsin, all in effort to bring together families, friends, fishermen from around the state and local states to come and enjoy our Petenwell flowage and our waterways. It's a 3-week free tournament which begins March 22nd, runs through April 13th. We pay out prizes for the top 5 largest walleyes, and in that 3 weeks we have a Jim Freeman Charity Challenge, which is April 9th, and then we have our greatest pleasure, which is a kids contest we put on. We get over 200 kids generally to come and participate in a free contest. Again, we pay out like top 10 prizes in boys and girls divisions. The smiles and the stories that they tell when they come back to the weigh-in station, sometimes it makes it all well worth it. And again, it's all free. They get goodie bags and buckets of minnows. And it's just a great day to come out and spend some family time together. Walleye Days generally brings out, I would say, over 10,000 people yearly. Participation is incredible. Obviously, the walleye fishing that the Wisconsin River and the Petenwell flowage has to offer in the spring is pretty much one of a kind. The fishing itself brings people from all over the state, Minnesota, Chicago, Illinois, all over people come to fish. We have been trying for 34 years to bring families together. That is our mission, to have everybody come out and be able to enjoy a great time, whether it's an hour or the whole afternoon. I'd like to thank Nakusa Walleye Days Committee for all their hard effort, all volunteer hours, everything that they do to bring these events together wouldn't be possible without our volunteer committee, our local businesses, and everybody else that's involved to make these great events possible for the kids, the families, for everybody to come out and enjoy.
Well, that's it for today's show. We appreciate you joining us to see that we're lucky to live in this community.
And here at RUN, we didn't win any Oscars, but apparently we did win a Felix, so we're happy about that. Here at Incourage, we're excited to celebrate our 20-year anniversary, and we hope you'll continue joining us in our celebration over the coming months.
As always, a huge thanks to River Cities Community Access for hosting us.
Tune in next month for another edition of Are You In?